So here we are live again. Next stream will be on Thursday, which will be the 26th of June at 3:30 UK time. So that's this Thursday. So welcome to all of you. It's really good to be with you again. Hi to Julia, hi to Keyword, hi to Maurits, hi to Oksana, hi to Ravindra, hi to Slipknot, and hi to Victoria. So let's go for it then. Hi Vitali. This was this article about the Hitler diaries that had been sold to the Sunday Times, but they were fake. And it's about the story about this. So good to have you all, and let's go. With serialisation deals signed, Stern, apace, hastily, fleetingly, fast, planned a press conference to announce the publication of Hitler's diaries to the world. So hastily says Vitali, hastily says Julia, hastily says Keyword, hastily says Maurits, hastily says Victoria as well. Okay, let's see. Apace is talking about velocity. Things are moving apace. Life is changing apace. Hi Nadia, lovely to see you. Hastily for Oksana as well. Fleetly. Fleet means agile, fleet of foot. So if you're very fleet, you're agile, you're nimble, you're quite fast as well. But it's different. Quick. It needs to be quickly planned. Fast planned. I know fast can be an adverb, but no, hastily is definitely the word. So hastily for Slipknot and hastily for Nadia as well. So well done all of you. That was a nice easy start. But even before the Notebook's grand... Hastily, it's talking about carelessness. Hastily is talking about too fast. It's talking about without thinking. But even before the Notebook's grand uncover, reveal, unveil, proclaim, doubts were being raised about their veracity. So, Slipknot says reveal, so does Vitali, so does Oksana. He left hastily. Okay, he left hastily for home as soon as he got the information of his friend's accident. Reveal for Keyword, reveal for Victoria, reveal for Julia. The literary meaning of apace is swiftly. That's good. The vaccine rollout continues apace, speedily. Reveal, says Maurits. Reveal, says Nadia. Veracity and verity are the same. Yes, they're both talking about true. The grand unveiling. Well done. I like unveiling. Unveiling would work very well. Before the grand unveiling. I think also the grand uncovering. I like unveiling better. But the grand reveal. Doubts were being raised about their veracity. Manisco, lovely to see you. Not least by the staff of the Sunday Times themselves, who had been burnt, charred, scored, torched, fried, baked before. Lovely to have you, Manisco. Not least by the staff of the Sunday Times themselves, who had been burnt, charred, scorched, torched, fried, baked before. Scorched, says Julia. Okay, this means tricked, taken in by a trick. Burnt, says Victoria. Scorched, says Oksana. Burnt, says keyword. Charred, says Maurizio, who's very unsure. Burnt, says Slipknot. Okay. Baked, I think that's baked from Manisco. Okay, let's look at some of these. Burnt or scorched, says Vitali. Tricked, burnt, I guess then. Okay, let's look at this. Torched, you torch a building. An arsonist, somebody who burns buildings, torches a building. Scorched, says Nadia. Fried, no, fried is cooking. Baked, no, not baked either. Charred is a bit burnt, charred on the outside. Let's see. I think normally we have this idiom to get your fingers burnt. Scorched by criticism. I think both burnt and scorched would fit, but normally I would say burnt. Scorched is a bit more metaphorical, going further than burnt. Burnt as in have your fingers burnt, and that's the reason I think they've gone for burnt. Scorched, it could be, I suppose, but I like burnt better. Yeah, you if you've been burnt by something, you don't want to do it again. You want to be careful. It's talking about getting your fingers burnt. Who had got their fingers burnt before? But you could get your fingers scorched, I suppose, and that's the point. In 1968, the newspaper had made an low, under, down, ground, back payment on diaries supposedly written by the Italian fascist leader Benito Mussolini. Down, says Maurizio, down for Vitali, down for keyword. A down for Oksana. Scorched earth policy, yes. Yeah, you burn the fields as you retreat. That's the scorched earth. That goes back to Greek and Latin classical history. Down, says Nadia. Down, says Julia. Down, says Manisco. So a low payment is just a little bit of money, but not much. An underpayment is to pay less than you should pay. A ground payment, no. A back payment is something that you owed from the past. But a down payment, this is a deposit. Yeah, you make a down payment on something. Make a down payment on something to put a deposit. Says Slipknot as well. Good. Okay. Which had also been affirmed, certified, corroborated, attested, vouched for by his son, no less. Vouch, says keyword. Vouch, says Oksana. Attested, says Slipknot. Vouch, says Victoria. Vouch, says Nadia. Down payment, just to deposit an initial payment when bought on credit. Yes, Maurizio, good. Vouched for Vitali. Vouched for Maurizio. Vouched for Julia. So, who's this? Slipknot. Look at this for. How it also been attested by without the for. Had also been certified by. Had been corroborated by, no for. But vouch for, says Nadia. Yes, that's the point. It's this for that pins it down. Okay, so this had been vouched for. You want to buy the house, you're obliged to pay a down payment of 50% in advance. Wow, which is going to be a lot of money. Okay, vouched, to vouch for, attested to, had been attested to by his son. Very good, Julia. Corroborated, no, certified by. That's okay. It's lovely to see you, Reynard. Much better late than not at all. But they turned up, in, out, on, off to be fakes. Devised by two little old ladies who lived in Veracity outside Milan. Journalist Philip Knightley, who worked for the Sunday Times investigation team, told Witness History in 2011. Yeah, it only works with 4 on the end of that vouch. So turned out, says Vitali, turned out, says keyword, turned out for Maurice, turned out for Victoria, turned out for Oksana, turned out to be for Julia, turned out to be for Manisco, turned out to be. Yes, okay, if something turns out, that's the result in the end. Turned out, says Slipknot. How did the match turn out? How did your exam turn out? Hi, Marim. Great to have you, Marim. Good to have you. Turn out, says Nadia. Okay, to turn up is to appear. Only 2 people turned up to my party. To turn in, you hand in your homework. To turn on, you turn on the light. To turn off, you turn off the light. They transpired to have been. So they turned out to be fakes. Okay, so this is the what the result was in the end. Okay. However, Murdoch was certain about the diaries. And despite the bookings, reservations, waivers, preserves of its editor Frank Giles, rushed the serialisation into print in the Sunday Times with the headline "World Exclusive" the day before Stern's press announcement. The students seemed to turn out to forget the smash likes button. Thank you, Julia. Okay, reservations for Vitali, reservations for keyword, reservations for Maurice, reservations for Reynard, reservations for Oksana. Preservation, says Victoria. Okay, I think that's probably the spell corrector. Reservation for Raj. Welcome, Raj Pratap. Reservation, says Julia. Okay, a waiver is when you say, I don't want to have this right. You refuse something. You don't make it apply. I'm going to waive the obligation to make a down payment. Reservation, says Nadia. Reservation, says Slipknot. Reservations are where you are not completely clear about something. You're not sure. You have to have reservations about something. I have reservations about this. Thank you, Raj. Very kind of you. If you have reservations about it, you're not entirely in favour of it. You don't support it completely. Yeah, that's to have reservations. So, continue. Okay. Giles rang Lord Dacre seeking reassurance about the story, only to have the historian confess that he was not so much having doubts as getting a 180-degree turn regarding the diary's authenticity. Doing, says Vitali. Making, says keyword. Making, says Oksana. Making, says Maurice. Having, says Elbili. Making, says Nadia. of doubt and reservation. I have doubts about this. I have reservations about this. Okay, doubts is about the security. If you have reservations, you have things that argue against it. So let's see, I have reservations about giving him all the money. It's not exactly doubts. It means that you don't agree with it entirely. I have reservations about using the death penalty. Okay, it means there are you have particular arguments against something, that you don't agree with something completely, and I think that's the difference. Doing, says Victoria. Doing, says Raj. Having, says Marine. Doing, says Julia. Doing, says Slipknot. Hi Patricia, lovely to see you. Okay, so it's not having and it's not getting. So do or make. I'm going to answer both of them. I think they both fit. As doing a U-turn, making a U-turn. I think in the original he put, yes, Vitali, very good, it's both of them. I think the original used make, but I don't think there's any difference between them. To make a U-turn, to do a U-turn, they're both good. Okay, everybody in the room, all the newspaper executives, slumped, dumped, waned, lolled, bent, settled down in their chairs and put their heads in their hands because we had lost our principal authenticator, says Knightley. It was clear that the story was absolutely wrong. They bent, says El Billy. Slumped, says Keyword. Slump, says Slipknot. Settled or slumped, says Maurits. Settled, says Victoria. Slump, says Vitali. Slumped for Oksana. Clumped for Maniska. I think that's probably for dumped. Slumped, says Madim. Slumped, says Patricia. Settled, says Raj. Slumped, says Julia. Slumped, says Nadia. Okay, this is a good question then. Okay, so let's see. To settle down in their chair. You sit down and you become comfortable. So to settle is to become more comfortable, to make yourself comfortable. Definitely not. Yeah, they didn't become more. Okay, change for slump. That's better. Bent down. To bend down in their chair, then maybe they're picking something up off the floor. To loll is to sit lazily. Notice with a double L. Yeah, he was lolling on the sofa, lying on the sofa. Yeah, he was asleep, lolled on the sofa, or his head was lolling. No. To wane is to decrease. Interest wanes. The moon waxes and wanes to get smaller. Enthusiasm wanes. To dump is to throw in the rubbish. Also, perhaps in this case, they dumped down in their chairs. I think to dump can also could mean to defecate in this one, but not. So they dumped down in their chairs. No, to slump. Oh, yeah. To loll is you're comfortable. To slump is you lose enthusiasm. So a slump, an economic slump. Settle down is in a positive, yes. But they slumped. They slumped in their chairs. You slump. Oh, yeah. Notice that the Great Depression, an economic slump. The slump is to lose traction, to lose power. to be less enthusiastic about something. See, yeah, slump suggests that wolf things are really bad. Seagulls, no, it's away from the sea. The seagulls are really aggressive. Lulled. They're not too far from each other. Okay, so the Sunday Times could still have stopped the prints, presses, imprint, publish, and changed the front page. The Sunday Times could still have stopped the prints, presses, imprint, publish, and changed the front page. Print says El Billy. Presses says Vitali. Presses says Slipknot. Presses says Victoria. Presses says Oksana. Presses for Nadia. Presses for Marine. Presses for Renyard. Okay, presses for games. High games. Imprint. Print says Maurits. Print says Patricia. Okay, let's see. Stop the printing. Stop the print run. The presses says Julia. I leave the imprint of my foot in the sand. The publishing run. No, the machine that you use to print is a press. High games. A printing press. So stop the presses. Hold the presses. Could have stopped the printing. Could have stopped the print run. No, could have stopped the presses. Stop the presses. Hold the presses. Yes. Or a fingerprint that you leave at the scene of a crime. But when Giles rang the proprietor, Murdoch said, just because Dacre has been unsteady, unstable, vacillating, variable for all this time, screw him, we'll publish, recalls Knightley. Furniture leaves imprints on the carpet, very good. Turn on a sixpence, yes. Ha. Furniture leaves imprints on the carpet, very definitely. Vacillating says Maurits. Vacillating says El Billy. Vacillating says Victoria. Vacillating for Vitali. Wavering says Vitali, which is a really good word, has been wavering from one side to another. Vacillating for Nadia, vacillating for Julia, vacillating for Madim, vacillating for P, vacillating for Games Please. An imprint on a carpet, definitely. Or something as, I hope this lesson will leave an imprint on your mind. Vacillating says Oksana, oscillating between one side and another. Yeah. Vacillating for Renyard. So unsteady, he's unsteady, he looks like he's going to fall over. Unstable mentally, he's mentally unstable. Has been variable. The weather is variable. No, vacillating. Wasting time, and this time, this side, this one, to vacillate, to oscillate between 2 points. Wobbling is a good word, Renyard. Or do a reverse ferret. Okay. Vacillating. Yeah, unable to make up his mind. For Stern, things would just go, get, take, move, run worse at its news conference the next day. For Stern, things would just go, get, take, move, run worse at its news conference the next day. Get for Vitali, get for Victoria, get for Lando. Welcome, Lando. Get for Maurice, get for Elbili, get worse, says Julia. Get for Marine, get for Nadia, get for Oksana. Hello, Wanda Mucholo. Go for games, please. So, normally, go colour, go green, go white. Get for games, please. Get for Patricia. A reverse ferret, as in make a U-turn. Okay, so normally get adjective, and that's what we want. Things would just get worse. Okay, get adjective. Good, Reynard. After editor-in-chief Peter Koch declared that he was 100% convinced that Hitler wrote every word in those books, Lord Dacre, the very historian who had vouched they were the real deal, notice vouched that they were the real deal, admitted in, during, under, at questioning that he was having second thoughts. So Vitali goes under. A reverse ferret, a sudden reversal in an organisation's editorial or political line on a certain thing. During, says Lando. During, says Marine. Under, says Elbili. During, says Julia. At or during, says Oksana. Under says games, please. Victoria says in. Nadia says under. Well, the first thing I need to say is I think all of these words fit. So we're now down to the question, which of these sounds better? This Stern went red while he was running through the gauntlet of his infamous press conference. Yes. Okay. So, in questioning, during questioning, under questioning, at questioning. Very good, games, please. That's very good. Do you think this was an easy At sounds worst. Absolutely, Maurits. At questioning is the worst by miles. I think in and during is neutral. Whereas under is more aggressive. And under is the right answer. Okay, so under investigation, under scrutiny, under duress. And I think this under, he's being pressured. He has much more pressure. Whereas in and during are neutral. At questioning, it could be. At is also neutral. But notice, they all would fit. Under pressure, that's the idea, Nadia. And that under is implying pressure, scrutiny, duress, intensity. To the horrified looks of Stern executives, Lord... Yes, under questioning, he's a suspect. That's the point. And okay, under pressure. Yeah, it's suggesting he's a suspect. It's suggesting that he did something illegal, immoral, wrong. Okay, so to the horrified looks of the Stern executives, Lord Dacre said that he wasn't able to establish a link between the plane crash and the claimed, argued, deemed, alleged diaries that he had been rushed into, and that he had been rushed into making a judgment. Alleged for Vitali under duress. Run the gauntlet without through. To run the gauntlet of, yes, Renyard. Alleged for El Billy, alleged for Lando, alleged for Victoria, alleged for Julia. Claimed says games please. Alleged says Nadia. Alleged says Renyard. How about claimed? Okay, so who claimed? Is this that somebody is purported is a good word. Is this that somebody is claiming they're mine? The claimed diaries. I'm not personally. I'm not sure. I like any of the answers. Alleged for Maurits, but let's see. They claimed the claimed diaries. So somebody's claiming, yeah, that they belong to Hitler. No, it doesn't work. Argued. They're arguing about who they belong to. Somebody could claim to have written them. And yeah, but somebody's claiming that Hitler wrote them. Deemed. Deemed is almost like decided. It's decided that they were. No, it's alleged. Because alleged is somebody says this is true, but we don't know if it's true or not. Allegedly Hitler's diaries. That's the point. Yes, Oksana. So, I must say, as a historian, I regret that the normal methods of historical verification have, perhaps necessarily, been to some extent surrendered, sacrificed, slaughtered, scapegoated, purged to the requirements of the journalist scoop, he said. Manu, welcome. Alleged, says Manu. Sacrifice, says Oksana for this one. Surrendered, says El Billy. Scapegoated, says keyword. Surrendered, says Julia. That's a great start. Sacrifice, says Maurits. Purged, says Victoria. Sacrificed or purged, says Manu. Surrendered. Sacrifice, says Renyard. Surrendered, says Mariam. Sacrifice, says Nadia. Okay, so let's look at some of these. What an oscillation! Yes, it's a good question. To purge is to get rid of something bad in a system. You purge the water out of a pump to make it work. Stalin purged the anti-communists out of Russia. Scapegoated. Scapegoat is to throw somebody under a bus, to make somebody a scapegoat. Surrendered to, as in sacrificed on the altar of. Feliz San Juan, happy St. John's Day. Slaughtered to the requirements. No, slaughter is mass killing. I think both surrendered and sacrificed would work. But they actually use sacrificed in the initial one. Okay, they sacrificed too. Purged to the requirements. No. They were sacrificed to. Happy San Juan. Okay, yes, here they had huge bonfires all night last night. Okay, one more, last one for today. After the chaotic press conference, Charles Hamilton, to scapegoat in a way, but you normally scapegoat a person. A scapegoat is talking about making a person responsible. So in a way, yes, and that's why I chose it. Slaughter someone is not a good idea. The last one's easy. The day after the chaotic press conference, Charles Hamilton, a US autographs dealer, I want to say US autograph dealer without the S, told BBC Breakfast that as soon as he saw the diaries pages, he could feel, see, taste, smell here the ebullient odour of forgeries. So, smell for Manu, smell for Vitali, smell for Oksana, taste for Lando, smell for Nadia, smell for Julia, smell for Victoria, smell for Elbili, smell for Marim, smell for Maurits. Okay, the odour. Smell, says Renyard. Okay, so if it wasn't, he could. If we took out the ebullient odour of, he could feel forgery, he could see forgeries, he could taste, but to smell the odour, it's got to be smell. Ebullient means boiling with excitement, really happy, really outgoing. I feel ebullient. Yeah. Is the next question more difficult? It could be, I don't know, but this one was easy. Okay, so to smell the ebullient, you feel ebullient. When you pass your exam, yes, you feel ebullient, and that's the idea. He could feel the ebullient odour. I guess feel could work as well. Expansive or very enthusiastic. We could smell the pungent odour around our surroundings. Yes. Yeah, because you've got ebullir in Spanish, Manu. Okay, so thank you all. I'm going to stop there and we can carry on Thursday. So, next stream is on Thursday, which is going to be the 26th of June at 3:30 p.m. UK time. Thank you all for coming. It's great. So take care, all of you. It's been really good having you. Let's see. Thank you to El Billy, thank you to Games Please, thank you to Julia, thank you to Keyword, thank you to Lando, thank you to Manisco, thank you to Manu, thank you to Marine, thank you to Maurits, thank you to Nadia, thank you to Oksana, thank you P, thank you Renyard, thank you Victoria, and thank you Vitali. So it's been great having you all. Okay, so it's been a really nice class. Thank you, Manu. Thank you, all of you. So, bye-bye, take care, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Ooze and ogle is only for silly. Okay.